split because you thought they were going to swarm.
Yes.
Could you just go over that again? Because you've already got queen cells
Okay.
that aren't open yet.
If you got queen cells that aren't open yet, and do you want to start with a queen or do you want to just use the queen cells?
I want to see what you do with the queen cells. Like, say you think
I
you're gonna
I smash them and I add a queen.
Oh, okay, that's more reliable for.
That's more
anybody
reliable.
to
It's
do.
better timetable.
Okay, right.
That takes a
okay.
month.
So
That
you
gives you a
smash
month
them
difference.
off.
Yeah, you're gonna it takes
You'll lose a month.
you're gonna have about 21 days from when that
Right,
hatches
right,
to get a
right.
reliable layer
Especially
if
if
she's
the
laying
layer
right.
of the year, you
But
know.
she will, like in Georgia, if we make nukes or splits up, sometimes we will use cells. You know, if we're making them early, like at the end of February, because you generally sometimes you're able to get queens the last week of February, but generally not to the first or second week of March.
Yeah.
And in that case, the queen breeders down there, they do have cells available, and we'll pop a cell in there. And generally within 2 weeks, they're just starting to lay. But it's generally about 3 weeks before everything starts laying. And your take generally depends a lot on the weather. So you can have a take being from about 50% to all the way up to 90-something%. And but you generally have a better take with mated queens, and things go a lot faster.
Right. So you should just do that.
Yep, I recommend
Especially
that.
up here.
Yep.
Saves time.
Do
Okay,
you need
great.
to have a grace period from the get used to that new queen?
Put the new queen in there. I don't have a problem sticking in right away. I do it from time to time. Whenever I see a beehive, and like this past week, I was going around supering, you know, and pop a lid. Hey, why aren't they making honey like the rest of them? Generally, they got European foul brood or they got a queen problem. They got a queen problem. If they still have a queen, go and smash or put another one in, because I don't want to come back later just for that one hive. It's not worth it for me. And you know, they take at the same rate as you're gonna if you just put 100 splits out there, and for a day before you put them in. So, also if you do splits and you have a couple days before you put the queen in, it's okay. We found, you know, from my experience and a couple other commercial guys that I work closely with, that you can put the queen in even if they still have a couple queen cells in there. Because if I got 100 splits out there, I don't want to have to go through every single frame,
So she'll come
you know, and smash cells. You know, it's nice if you have a queen already on hand, but if you don't, you can wait a day or two. But if those queen cells are capped over, they are going to want to keep them. So then you might have a little bit of lower queen take. But at least you got a backup plan because you got the queen cells there.
Okay.
Any other questions with splitting? Okay. Let's see here.
What's the latest you would do this?
Okay, why would we make a split and when would we make a split? Anyone have any ideas, guesses, experience? What's that?
Well, why to weaken it?
Yep.
To weaken the hive and to create more hives.
To weaken the hive, make more hives. Yeah. Prevent swarming. But I prefer to make a nuke to prevent swarming, because then you can still get your honey crop. When would you make a split? Splits, if you want to make a honey crop, well, let's say you're starting with new bees. So you got a nuke or a package in April, and you just fed it, got it real strong. If you got a nuke, you should be able to split sometime in May. If you got a package, you should split sometime in June. If you want to make a honey crop, you know, which you're probably not going to make with a package, you can split at any time. If you get a nuke, you probably have a good chance of making a honey crop. And you can either split it right after the honey crop, or if you really don't care about the spring and summer honey crop, you can split it at any time and then try to bank on making a bit of fall honey off of Japanese knotweed and goldenrod. So I would say you can split, if you don't care about making honey, early honey, you can split in May, June, May and June. If you want to make honey first, let the bees make the honey. I always advise pulling the honey off around the 4th of July. It's a holiday you can remember. Generally you're in your backyard anyways. Just about everything's finished up blooming at that point. Last year was a little bit of an odd year. The honey flow went pretty late into July. And made some really delicious honey too, out my way. But generally I would say pull your honey off around the 4th of July, because then you can treat for mites if you need to. You can requeen. But if you want to make a split then, you got plenty of bees because you just condense them from a hive about this tall to a hive, you know, yay tall, and you got plenty of brood, hopefully. You split them there. You know, you can treat both of them for mites. You know, if you want to use a product like Apivar, which doesn't stop the queen from laying, you can put 2 strips or something like that in each split, and they last about 50 days. Or if you want to, or if you say you aren't going to make a lot of honey in June for whatever reason, you can think about making your split a little bit early, making it in July, but you have a little bit of mites. Treat with Apiguard. I like Apiguard, and I like Apivar. I've tried other things. I've had luck here and there, but those two I seem to have the best luck with.
And you can leave the honey on?
No, because you're going to pull it off on July 4th, or around there, that first week in July. So, but after you make your split in July, you're going to need a feed. Why? Because you want to get them bees growing into that second box, so they're slam full for that 3rd week in August. And that's possible. It's going to take about a gallon or gallon and a half a week of food. So you can do it. You really need to stimulate them. You want them to fill up that box, get it nice and full. Then you can have your opportunity to make fall honey.
But might that not make them honey bound?
You gotta keep an eye on them. You know, don't blindly feed them.
Yeah, but when you got 680 hives,
Yep.
keep an eye on them. How do you keep an eye on them?
You can, kind of.
What do you do? Text message them?
No, you just you can just, it's kind of, how do I explain it? It's kind of just more of an experience thing. But yeah, if in your bee yard, generally things are going to be pretty similar, you know, and if you know nothing's coming in right now, they're eating back what they have. So, and you want to stimulate them to grow. Bees only go they get stronger or they get weaker. They don't just stay the same. It's one or the other. So. Yep. No, because it's going to be only in your brood boxes at that point. You don't have honey supers on it at that point.
Does anybody have a brown Nissan Murano? Looking for the owner of a brown Nissan Murano, license plate 955.
Why?
SBM. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. That's not yours, is it? Oh, I need you to move it.
So let me put this back together here, and we'll go on to making nukes.
So you're still going to pull the farm?
What's that?
You're going to pull the farm?
I can, sure.
So are you concerned about identifying where the queen is?
Nope, because I'll shake all the bees out of the bottom box.
Also, you can tell by the population.
So you think it swarmed because it was nectar bound or nectar bound as a result? Yeah.
You don't like using the hook tool, huh?
No. I used to, but it's kind of like, I find this one more common, more handy. I run 9 frames in my 10 frame boxes.
In supers or the...
And everything. Oh, the brood chambers, I'd have 8 frames and like a plastic feeder in there. In both boxes.
In both boxes.
Yep.
Just doing that because of pollination?
Just easy feed. That way, if because they're all on a 4-way pallet, and if I want to feed them, you know, I just got to slide the lids to the side because the feeder's on the inside of each pallet.
Are you not worried about the girls on the bottom?
Oh, we'll shake them.
No, on the bottom board.
Queen's not there.
There are an awful lot of bees on the bottom of that, but there's a big bunch.
Bottom of.
That,
Top
on
brood.
the right-hand side.
They're used to not squishing any bees.
Oh, okay.
They're used to,
They were
Yeah.
hanging off the bottom.
yeah, they're used to saving every bee. Commercial guys squish a few. Not on purpose, right, Bill?
Not on purpose. If they weren't in the way, I wouldn't squish them.
Well, yeah, but
logical.
So right now, if I'm combining, you know, shaking things down the bottom box, keeping an eye out for brood. Not much for eggs or any. I haven't seen any eggs anywhere.
Is that queens?
No, there were eggs in the top box.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, what are you
Yep.
looking for now?
Right now, what I'm doing for them, I'm just shaking everything down. They had an extra box, and the extra box was on the bottom.
Yep.
And so I'm just combining everything right now for them. But this is what I would do for making a split. Going through, pulling every single frame out, shaking the bees off.
So there's really no point for 2 boxes at this point right now?
For this hive, no, there's not enough bees. But there's already some brood in this top box here, so we're gonna make a story and a half out of it. And just double check something here real quick. I did see eggs early, but just making sure it's an actual queen laying.
Now, what's the harm of leaving those?
It's just more space for them to heat.
Okay.
And even though it is warm out right now, if we
Now,
have,
what were you looking at?
right now I saw eggs earlier. Right now I'm just double checking to see if the eggs were in a decent pattern, because they do sound a little irregular.
Now, aren't you incentivizing them to lay on in the medium now by doing this?
You've already got them up there, Pete.
I know that, but
Shoot.
aren't you incentivizing to do just that?
You got a queen excluder? We can shake them
What?
up. If you got a queen excluder, we can shake them all off, and just so we can do that too.
Potentially let their hives swarm. So what they do is they take
That's mine though.
keep it in the hive, but there's just no brood for 2 weeks because they interrupt that cycle. Not really recommended.
Do you understand what he's doing?
So right now I'm just looking for eggs. I saw a couple earlier.
Yeah, what Peter's asking is he doesn't want to use his medium as a
Brood
brood
box.
base.
Oh, okay.
So what
Oh.
Bill's going to do is he's going to take and shake all these bees back into the bottom super. Then he'll put a queen excluder on,
Okay.
and then he'll put the honey super back on top. So they'll only put honey.
Might still have a queen problem in here. Check
So
in a
once
couple
they
days.
hatch, they'll...
So once they hatch,
did
the
see
nurse
some-
bees will come up and take care of the eggs,
I
but the
did see
queen
some
we
eggs. I
know
don't
is
see much
definitely
for young
below,
larvae at all.
and she won't be
Won't be laying
laying
any more
eggs.
eggs.
So that's what
Okay.
he's doing. He's just making a honey
And
super.
they'll
have-
clean that up
I don't
enough
think
so
you'd
he
have
can
to
use that as a
have
honey
laying
super
You
down
can
there?
use it as a honey
Quality
super.
here in about in a few
Oh,
days.
so after they hatch.
After they
After
hatch.
they
It out,
hatch,
then they'll
then he can,
Because I had
he
that
can put another brood chamber back on and use that honey super above it. Peter had some of the strongest hives this spring, but this one's really kind of weak now. But I don't know if this was just a swarm he put together. Bill, how hot is your suit?
Not very hot at all.
Really?
Not compared to a cloth suit. This suit is the only brand that I now wear. It's called Ultra Breeze. It's from a company in Oklahoma. It was inspired, I guess, all the looks of the pictures. The founder was of the suit was a really hefty guy who didn't like getting hot in bee suits,
Oh, these things are too hot.
and built this mesh layer,
What's it
Which
called?
is-
Ultra
Ultra Breeze.
Ultra Breed?
And it's much better than the Better Bee brand or the Man Lake brand. I especially don't like Man Lake because I have a big head and I don't like it touching my nose. Then I get stung on the nose. Well, as I do this, I'll kind of explain how to make a nuke because it looks like some groups might be changing out. Making a nuke. Why do you want to make a nuke? You want to make a nuke to make a little bit of profit and sell some bees, get some bees started for a friend, or you want to stop swarming. If you see your beehives about to swarm, pull out four frames of brood. Check it for the queen. Make sure the queen's not on the frames, you know, and then, but you don't want to use a lot of smoke when you're making nukes, just a little bit, because if you put too much smoke, bees are going to run, and you're going to pull out frames with lots of brood, not a lot of bees covering it. So when you make a nuke, you're going to have bees die, or brood die. So when you make a nuke, just a little bit of smoke, pull out the frames of bees. If there's a good honey flow going, you know, don't have to be as conscious about making sure there's honey in there. But if you're doing it early in the year, you're going to want at least as a general rule, you want feed in there. You know, about equivalent of a frame of honey. Whether it's 3 or 4 frames of brood with a good amount of honey and the arc around it, or if you have 3 frames or 2 frames of solid brood and then a frame of solid honey. And you get it all in the box there, then you move it somewhere else, and you add a queen. You can let it go with queen cells, whether you buy a queen cell or they have them already started. But you add a queen and just go back in a week and a half later, and you should have a queen land. Generally, nukes have a good acceptance rate of queens. You can make a nuke too strong. If you make a nuke too strong and there's a honey flow going, before that queen's really accepted, they can just plug it up with honey.
Dave,
Also,
5 more minutes.
extremely strong nukes have a hard time accepting a queen occasionally. You're making a 5-frame nuke, can stick all 5 frames of brood in there, but I'd stick 3, 4 at the most. When we're making up 5-frame nukes here for May, they're generally made up in 4-frame boxes, and then, you know, maybe 5 days before pickup, we'll put them in the 5-frame boxes with an empty frame, and in those 5 days, they're moving on to that empty frame for pickup for them to move on to. So does anyone have any questions with that? Okay, once again, I'm just, he doesn't want to use the medium box here as a brood box, so I'm shaking all the bees out of it and putting a queen excluder in there because there's already brood in there, and it's going to allow the brood to hatch out and the bees to still take care of it, but the queen won't be able to lay in there.
And what do you see about that couch that's making you stop?
For
You
what?
studied it for a second. What were you studying it for?
It's not a very good pattern, so they could have superseded or something like that.
One of these in the middle. In 2 weeks, you need another.
Just because it's all the spaces in between, it's kind of spotty? Is that why it's not good?
Well, it's you know, they're drawn out comb up here, so it doesn't look like they've been up here for more than a couple brood cycles. Generally, queen lays up a frame of eggs. If she's a good queen, the first time she lays, it's going to be beautiful. But you always have, in any population, a certain percentage that's going to die. Say it's 2%. It's 2% die, so you're going to have dots, you know, in that nice pattern. The queen generally later comes back and fills in those dots. And then most of it hatch out, and then you're going to have her lay again. And 2 or 3% of those are going to die, and she's going to come back. So after several generations, 5, 6, 7 generations of brood rearing, you're not going to have that really nice pattern anymore. And it's not necessarily because the queen's bad. What's that? I haven't seen any yet, but I'm pretty sure I saw some earlier.
What kind of bees are those?
They look like some type of Italian.
Because they're yellow?
Yeah, because they're orangey yellow, but just because something's orangey doesn't necessarily mean it's that race. You know, Russians are kind of that color too. Then you can have some hybrids which are that color. What's that? Yeah, he's got one right there. So the brood in this hive is it's not exactly in the center, it's kind of right here, so I'm going to make sure that I put the brood from the super over on top of it.
I don't know if they pointed out. That was burning. I know he's been using oxalic acid. And that's what happens. That's why it's gotta be.
Are you centering the brood?
Not in the bottom. I'm putting it on top of the brood in the other one,
That
yeah.
is temperature dependent, right. That means you